Romania is investing €200 million in joint drone production with Ukraine, announced Romanian Defense Minister Radu Miruța. He stated that the Romanian army should use what has proven its effectiveness. And the Ukrainian defense forces have extensive experience using drones in real combat conditions. It's not just about procurement, but also about the possibility of drone production in Romania, Miruța emphasized. Kyiv and Bucharest plan to sign the agreement by May. Kristina Dombrovskaya will continue on this topic.
Ukraine is the most effective and experienced military force in the region, stated Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna. He is convinced not only does Kyiv need security guarantees from its partners, but Europe also needs security guarantees from Ukraine. That is why, according to the Estonian Foreign Minister, now is a historic moment to integrate Ukraine into the European Union and NATO. It can no longer remain in a grey zone.
We must approach this comprehensively, because these grey zones, neutral countries, or buffer territories, however we define them, only give Putin the green light to continue his aggression against Europe. That is why we should realize that this is also our opportunity. Ukraine is now fighting not only for itself and its own freedom, but is also giving us time to form a new structure for European security.
Ukraine plays a crucial role in global security, not only on the European continent, but also in the Middle East, says EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kaja Kallas.
Your support for our partners in the Persian Gulf highlights Ukraine's decisive contribution as a guarantor of security. Even in difficult times, you find the time to truly help others. Drones must be neutralized using appropriate interception means. And no one does this better than Ukraine.
Europe urgently needs to increase drone production, according to Latvian Prime Minister Eva Kasilina. In her opinion, in this field, partners cannot do without cooperation with Ukraine. European states can join forces with Kyiv to ramp up drone production, said Dutch Prime Minister Rob Jetten.
We can all join forces with Ukraine to increase the production of drones for deployment both in the Middle East and in Ukraine. And obviously, we are trying to mobilize resources to increase deliveries to Ukraine this year as well. They have survived a very harsh winter, but we must make sure they can get through the next one as well.
Russia's neighbor is also strengthening its air defense system, Poland. This was announced by the country's defense minister, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz.
A Polish group of arms manufacturing companies and Estonian firms have signed a cooperation agreement, particularly in the development of unmanned aerial vehicles and countermeasures against them. Estonia is a leader in new technologies, the IT industry, and in implementing and accumulating experience in this field, so we want to take advantage of that. This is an important event because given the ongoing conflict in the Middle East and the war in Ukraine, Poland will have the opportunity to produce inexpensive missiles capable of countering flying drones.
Sweden is investing more than €700 million in new drone defense systems, announced the country's defense minister Paul Jonsson. He explained that the system, named Gute, will be mobile and able to move quickly over long distances. He emphasized that the concept was developed in close dialogue with Ukraine, whose defense forces have extensive experience in combating drones.
Now, more than ever, it is important to invest in air defense capabilities. Protection against aerial threats is a priority for the government, and we will make more deals to strengthen Swedish defense.
In April, Poland will hold strategic exercises called Kraj, during which the country's response in the event of war will be practiced, according to the publication Rzeczpospolita. The maneuvers are intended to test the readiness of the entire national defense system for a potential military conflict. These crucial command and staff exercises were last held in 2019, before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Kristina Dombrovska for Freedom TV channel.
Dimitros Negiryov, military political analyst, is joining us now. Welcome, Dimitro. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation.
So how will countries strengthen their defense cooperation with Ukraine? This has been an important topic in recent weeks. What is happening at the moment? How do you see this? And then we will discuss President Zelensky's latest statement on this topic in more detail.
At the moment, about 10 countries have already signed agreements with the Ukrainian side on the production of weapons and above all on the introduction of innovative systems for Ukraine's defense forces. This primarily concerns the Danish model. This is essentially a pioneer in the field of joint defense production with Ukraine. And it should be noted that it was Denmark that was the first to invest in Ukroboronprom enterprises in Ukraine, and then allocated about 100 million euros for the creation of Ukrainian defense enterprises on Danish territory. At the moment, this involves the production of 3 types of drones: frontline drones, interceptor drones, and long-range UAVs. Furthermore, the government of Finland has officially announced a new partnership for the joint production of advanced interceptor drones with Ukraine, which will take place directly on Finnish territory. And the United Kingdom has similarly stated that at the moment, the main focus of cooperation with Ukraine is on drones. Plans to launch joint production on British territory were announced by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. In addition, the United Kingdom is investing hundreds of millions of dollars to increase drone production for Ukraine. And it should be noted that British expertise in this area is invaluable to the Ukrainian side. Agreements have been signed with France for the production of air defense and missile defense systems, missiles for them, equipment repair, and testing of innovative solutions. And accordingly, once again, the main priority is the production of interceptor drones for Ukraine. It should be noted that accordingly, the Ukrainian side has signed joint agreements with Denmark, Finland, and Latvia for a total amount of about 800 million euros. At the moment, the partnership is focused on 2 classes of products. These are long-range strike drone systems with a target range of up to 2,500 kilometers and medium-range strike systems with a range of up to 400 kilometers. And accordingly, a cooperation agreement has been signed with the Finnish side on a ground robotic platform and the production of ground robots for Ukraine. This is already an innovative breakthrough in the rearmament of Ukraine's defense forces, taking into account the realities of modern warfare. In addition, agreements have been signed with Finland for the production of a tactical multi-purpose ground robotic platform. And it is quite remarkable that the recent events in the Persian Gulf have actually become a catalyst for the expanded nature of Ukraine's military technical cooperation with a number of Persian Gulf states. This gives the Ukrainian side the opportunity to significantly expand the production of interceptor drones both for these countries and accordingly for Ukraine's defense forces. And a revolutionary breakthrough is that the Ukrainian manufacturers have signed agreements on the production of interceptor drones with Indian partners. And the Indian arms market has always been a priority for the occupying country. So we can say that the Ukrainian side is pushing the Russian Federation out of its traditional arms export markets. And this is noteworthy.
Dimitro, just about 20 minutes ago, the Office of the President of Ukraine released a briefing by President Zelensky in which he goes into great detail on the topic we're discussing now, as well as others. In our next news releases and broadcasts, we will introduce viewers in detail to all of these statements. But I would like to draw attention to the fact that the president emphasizes that all these contracts also help develop Ukraine's military-industrial complex, its defense industry. Let's focus on that. How beneficial is cooperation with countries that need this for us?
And first and foremost, we're talking about a positive example of cooperation with Denmark. Let me emphasize once again, at the moment, it is being scaled up. In other words, this is direct investment in the Ukrainian defense industry. As a result, the Ukrainian side was able, in record time, to set up production of the Ukrainian Bogdana self-propelled artillery systems, which in terms of their tactical and technical characteristics surpass European self-propelled artillery systems. It should be noted that in terms of price-to-quality ratio, the Ukrainian Bogdana self-propelled artillery systems have no equal. The cost is about $2.5 million, whereas the French equivalent costs between $6 and $7 million. Similarly, the German-made self-propelled artillery systems cost up to $7 million. As a direct consequence of these developments, we can certainly say that this highly successful and productive experience of cooperation with the Danish side has effectively functioned as a powerful catalyst for significantly scaling up the domestic manufacturing and production of Ukrainian-made strike systems. Accordingly, this made it possible to create additional jobs and speed up the production of desperately needed self-propelled artillery systems for Ukraine's defense forces. On a positive note, we can also mention the agreements with Rheinmetall regarding the production of artillery shells and the repair of armored vehicles on Ukrainian territory. This is quite significant when a leading global arms manufacturer sends, first and foremost, a political signal that it is ready to invest in production directly within our country. And this, in turn, is an indicator of trust in the Ukrainian state and, accordingly, in the Ukrainian defense forces, who are capable of protecting investments in Ukraine's defense industry. And accordingly, we can also bring to mind specific examples of collaborative partnerships in the manufacturing and assembly of unmanned aerial vehicles on Ukrainian sovereign territory. These are the same Bayraktars, the Turkish side, and a number of European countries that have invested primarily in the production of interceptor drones on the territory of Ukraine. We are not talking now about the production of interceptor drones directly on the territory of European countries. These examples are vivid evidence that European partners have changed their approach in cooperating with the Ukrainian side, and now the main focus is precisely on expanding the capabilities of the Ukrainian defense industry. That is, expanding the range of strike weapons that have already been tested in the conditions of real combat operations.
Thank you, Dmitry. We always appreciate having you and your expertise. Dmitry Snegirev, military political analyst, was with us on the air. A short break.